Joining us now is Okpe, with stories trending around the world. Nika.
Good morning.
Thank God it's Friday.
TGIF.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. I love your great jacket.
Thank you.
I love this suit.
Very dapper today. Good morning, Tundun. How are you?
I'm great.
I hope we're going to have a good weekend.
For sure.
Yes, perfect. Good morning, Rufai. How are you?
Hi, good morning, Audrey. How are you?
Very well.
Good.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, good morning to you, viewers. We begin What's Trending with reactions to the ban by the Federal Capital Territory Administration on all street demonstrations, protests, and processions within the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. The administration announced on Thursday that while it recognizes the rights of citizens as regards freedom of association and movement, the unruly conduct of protesters was a complete violation of the COVID-19 safety protocols put in place to safeguard the lives of citizens. The FCTA administration also alleged that the protesters caused inconveniences to law-abiding citizens. Well, let's take a listen to this reaction from a resident.
It shows clearly that the government does not even respect the Constitution. There's freedom of protest, peaceful protest. Did you see us harm anybody? We even clear the depth of everything we eat on the road. That's to tell how organized we are. So if they are trying to ban it, making a constitution on their own, it shows that Nigeria is not being ruled constitutionally. There's something wrong with our leaders, and they need to wake up to the reality that we, the youth, are not giving up. We know our rights, and we are ready to pursue it to the letter.
I'm so happy that everyone is like taking up space and lending their voice to this. You can hear this gentleman really upset about the whole ban situation. Well, I guess it's a way the federal government is trying to, limit the violence. I mean, you remember yesterday we took that story, where there's this pro-SARS people who came out to, harm people. I guess maybe this is one way that the federal government is trying to limit the violence. But, I mean, COVID-19 protocols, at this time, we had elections, last week, and there are people out there. No one talked about COVID-19 protocols. I mean, why
Thank you. Thank you so much for highlighting that double standard and just rank hypocrisy. I completely agree with that gentleman. I've said it too many times on this show. We really do act like our constitution is not worth the paper it's printed on. What is the point of having a constitution? What is the point of calling ourselves a democracy if people cannot peacefully protest? If the fear is about potential harm being done to protesters, then the onus is on the government to provide security for Nigerians as they carry out their fundamental human rights in this country.
Correct.
So it's completely wrong of the FCT to have made that announcement. It's wrong. I can't support that.
All round.
Yes.
Well, we've made the point on this program that at the end of the day, there will be some gains from this protest, whichever way it ends up. We have seen the example of Asha coming up with a very beautiful song.
Yeah.
There is another group, two rappers, who have also done a song. So it's stimulating, generating creativity. Two, the gentleman that was shown on the screen talked about citizenship responsibility. And that is a point that needs to be underlined. We've seen a lot of young people cleaning up. They have a no-litter movement within the protest groups across the country. After eating and protesting and all of that, they clean up. I've seen bags, refuse bags, which means that, look, they are protesting, but they also, at the same time, understand their responsibility as citizens, not to litter the streets. We should underline that. Third point, I've seen quite so many of them quoting the Constitution, referring to their constitutional rights. And one of the things we stress is the need for the average Nigerian to know their rights, know the Constitution, know what your rights are. And these young people who are out there on the streets, the way they quote the Constitution of Nigeria shows that some progress is being made. Yeah. Generation Z is different from Generation X, which didn't quite study the Constitution. These ones are studying the Constitution, and they are talking about their rights under the Constitution.
Generation X was mostly under military rule, so let's not do that. The first thing the military does is suspend the Constitution.
Well, maybe, but that same Generation X moved out of military rule and forgot, something about their rights. But I would not stretch it for them. So these are some of the lessons we're seeing. We'll do a proper compilation as time goes on. As for the FCT, yes, the FCT Security Committee, led by the Minister of Federal Capital Territory came out yesterday with this directive that they are banning demonstrations in the Federal Capital Territory on account of the violation of COVID-19 guidelines. And you have to know, I've already made the point. If you don't show example, the people will ignore you.
Of course.
So who is talking about COVID-19 guidelines? When we have had on this program, politicians, political leaders coming here and say, look, these COVID-19 guidelines will not work during elections because what the people are showing is that they are showing love and they will embrace them. Okay? So these young people, yesterday, they ignored the FCT Security Committee. They trooped out onto the streets and said, to hell with your COVID-19 guidelines, because you yourself, talking about the COVID-19 guidelines, do you observe those guidelines? That in itself is a form of protest. However, the truth of the matter is that oftentimes when I see these protests, either on the streets of Kaduna, as reported by Arise correspondent and analyst Christian Ogodo yesterday, or even on the streets of Nigeria, the fear, the big fear, is that would this not be, would there not be an escalation in the COVID infection rates across Nigeria? Because in all of these protests, you don't see social distancing, you don't see physical distancing. But the obverse of that is to say that, well, in the U.S., there were George Floyd protests,
yes.
Black Lives Matter protests. Well, I don't know. Nobody has been able to establish that led automatically to a spike
when you're outdoors,
in the COVID-19
the ventilation
cases.
sort of reduces the transmission.
Yes.
That's the only factor that I can think of.
But
that
the other day, who was it? Was it Aaron? Brought a story that COVID-19 has been confirmed to now be airborne.
Yes.
The way people are shouting, the way they bunch together.
But ventilation also might help.
Okay.
Yes,
well, the science keeps evolving, but again, that's the big fear.
I know.
These young Nigerians, they want to save Nigeria. They want to rescue Nigeria. They want to take Nigeria back. But should they do it at enormous risk to their own safety and survival? That question hangs in there. We'll leave it there.
Rufai, your take on that? Or maybe you might want to answer that.
I was laughing when I heard that story. I mean, how would they even be able to ascertain that it will cause a COVID-19 surge when we don't have enough equipment to test enough for COVID-19? I mean, I don't know if you understand the correlation. We are not even testing enough for COVID-19 in the first place. You have opened up the NYSC camp, schools have resumed, and now you are telling us that it's because of COVID-19 that you want to disrupt a peaceful protest. Anyway, we know how things go in this country. We are not babies. I think what the FCT Security Committee should concern itself with is how peaceful protesters will not be hurt, thugs will not attack them, and hoodlums will not disrupt the protests. And I'll give you an instance. The Orange Revolution in 2004, from November 2004 to 2005 in Ukraine, which was a big revolution, the mother of all revolutions in Ukraine, had, guess how many deaths? Only one death. And the person didn't die because of police stray bullets, he died of a heart attack. But now, how many days down the line, we've had so many deaths as a result of this protest. So how we can ensure that people can peacefully have their protests and have their voices heard should be the concern, not COVID-19 protocols. I mean, I was shocked. A Nigerian governor said, forget COVID, the people love me. Here, we are hypocrites in this country.
All right, well, let's take stories around the protests. NSAS protesters on Thursday stormed the premises of the Ministry of Justice to register their grievances with perceived injustice associated with police brutality in the country. The angry protesters gathered in front of the ministry's premises, chanting, "Ministry of Injustice." Shane, let's take a look. While NSAS protesters in Lagos have put a twist to their cause by protecting individuals against police brutality or extortion. On Thursday, a policeman was ordered out of a truck by a group of protesters for allegedly trying to extort money from the driver of the truck. Let's take a look.
Video them. What did he do? Bring out your phones and video them. What did he do? What did he do? That's what we're asking. Open it up and come down. What did he do? What did he do? All of you, bring out your phones and video them. Bring out your phones. You tell me what he did. No, don't spoil their door. What did he do? That's today. Go down. Take it down. Take it down. Go down. Drive in peace. Drive in peace. Drive in peace.
Well, in Abuja, protesters approached a traffic warden to commend him for his efforts. At first, the warden thought the crowd was there to attack him, but was, however, shocked with a show of love from the crowd and subsequently broke down in tears. That was so beautiful.
Bless him.
I thought that was so beautiful. I mean, his pictures were circulating on social media yesterday. But, you know, you see this variation of protest, you know, where in Abuja they're really so upset. And, you know, also in Lagos, people are really taking almost the laws into their hands, like, you know, trying to make sure that this police brutality or extortion or whatever it is stops. And I love it.
Yes, because those people who queried that police officer who got in the car, in the bus with the driver. In other periods, well, even as recently as I'd say 2-3 years ago, I heard about a case where a bus driver was killed because the policeman tried to extort him and he refused or didn't give enough money.
There
something
was
like
the little girl, Tina, as well.
She was just standing there
and it was
during the COVID lockdown, and she was shot.
Yes.
So really, those people might have saved that man's life, quite frankly.
Well, I think one other lesson from this, from some of the stories we have seen, is that in many parts of the country, the protesters are not really targeting individuals. They target only uniformed officials who try to go against their own codes, their standard operating procedures, the basic standard of policing. But the ones that they see that are doing well or are innocent, they've also been very supportive of them. One of my most memorable pictures coming out of this protest is that of a policeman in Port Harcourt being given water to drink, being given food to drink.
They were spraying this man money.
Yeah, so in Abuja, you see this traffic warden who was frightened, but at the end of the day, they identified with him. Because these young people, you know, these are very well-educated people. These are not your regular youths. No. So they have sense. There's a sense, there's a rhythm to their protest. So identifying with them. In Lagos, we have seen pictures of a policeman also collecting pepper soup and rice. And what do you call that thing? Pizza. Also collecting pizza and eating along with the protesters. Because the particular individual that has not offended them is not the problem. The problem that they have is with the institution, is with the tradition of injustice in Nigeria. Their attempt is to save Nigeria, not to destroy other people. In Ibadan, we also saw pictures of soldiers doing high fives with the protesters. Yes. So maybe the military division in Ibadan has a different training from the military division in Abuja. But we saw soldiers saying, no, we are here to protect you. In Lagos, we have seen policemen also joining the protest. There is one famous woman, I don't immediately remember her name, who was providing protection in Lagos, and the people rallied around her. So at the end of the day, we are all human beings. Okay, when people act in a reasonable manner, there will be no reason for angry Nigerian youths to oppose them. So we keep getting all of these narratives, you know, and as I said, there will be time enough for persons to do a sociological, you know, anatomical analysis of what is going on in Nigeria, because it's a new phenomenon. Yes. There is a new dimension to an emerging revolution that Nigerians are being confronted with. The only people who are not doing the proper analysis are the people in government. And we have great resource in government. So I don't know why they are not allowing the people who have brains to do the thinking for them. You know, why what we keep getting is this knee-jerk, 24-hour process reaction. Because there are really talented people in government who can help figure all of this out and move the country forward. All
right. Rufai, a quick comment from you.
I mean, I think the insights from this very seminal moment in Nigerian life is quite very, I don't know the word to use, penetrating or insightful. It's something that is really exciting because the Generation S are quite very excited people. And apart from that, about what they're doing, and apart from that, they're quite very educated. Most of these people schooled abroad. So they resorted to schooling abroad because of the rot that has gone on in the education system in this country. So they have foreign insights. And most of these people are not jobless, lazy Nigerian youths, as they are called. They've got jobs. They're working for multinationals. They're working for big top companies and the likes. So they know what it means for, personal empathy and the likes. But most importantly, it's going to be a seminal moment in Nigerian history. And when Nigerian history will be written over the next 60 years, this moment will be said to be, can I say, one of the finest moments? Not quoting Churchill now.
All right.
A watershed moment.
We'll take another story. Award-winning Nigerian rapper and singer Folarin Falana, professionally known as Falz, has written an open letter to President Muhammadu Buhari, requesting for a reconstitution of the Governing Council of the National Human Rights Commission. The vocal entertainer, who has been a strong voice in the ongoing SARS protests, posted a video on Instagram stating that it is now time for the youth to start holding public servants accountable. Let's take a look.
Catch this cruise. Do you know that the Human Rights Commission is actually charged with the responsibility of handling cases of human rights violation and ensuring prosecution of offenders? Now, this is the same Human Rights Commission that the federal government has asked to set up another panel to perform its functions. Okay. Do you also know that the Human Rights Commission has remained without a governing council since 2015? And by law, without this governing council, the Human Rights Commission cannot perform its functions. Is it that they don't know or they don't care about our human rights? Catch another cruise. Do you know that there's something called the Police Trust Fund? In this Police Trust Fund, 0.5% of the total money in the Federation account is meant to go into that trust fund. 0.05 of the total net profit of all companies operating business in Nigeria. Do you know how much that is? That money is meant to go into the Police Trust Fund. There's a long list of some other things that are meant to go into the Police Trust Fund. Where is the Police Trust Fund? They are not being paid well. Their cars are not roadworthy. The police stations are uncompleted buildings. Police have to convert exhibit for their personal use in the office. It's disgraceful, the state of the police right now. We have to start holding people accountable. That is the only way we'll be able to move forward.
That was such a powerful message, Tundu. I mean, the open letter that he wrote to President Muhammadu Buhari has been circulating on social media, and he claims that the Human Rights Commission has not had a governing body since 2015. How do you even reconcile that?
Well, when it's not a priority, that's what happens, frankly. I mean, we all show what we deem important in everything that we do or fail to do. The omission speaks volumes about the priority being placed on human rights. And the issue that he's raised is really important, and it sort of buttresses that point, the first gentleman that you showed us, who was complaining about constitutional violations. Yes. Nigeria is, if anything, over-legislated. We have laws for everything. We have extant laws. The whole idea of laws from the Constitution onwards is to adhere to them strictly. They should not be ignored and they shouldn't be embellished, which is what he's saying. What is the purpose of setting up another committee within a committee? It's completely pointless. I completely agree with him.
And then the fact that he talked about the Police Trust Fund.
But you see, that's controversial, that Police Trust Fund. Yeah. What it's more linked with, in my mind at least, is scandal. And just the fact that a lot of people think it's illegal. There's a lot of resistance to that Police Trust Fund. That's a whole other topic.
Well, I mean, the Police Trust Fund, the scandal occurred years back, yes. And there has been no closure to it. But the important point is that the police have always asked that the institution needs to be properly funded. That is important, particularly when you take a look at the state of the police barracks across the country. The police barracks to the to the military barracks. The military barracks are well taken care of. The police barracks, you don't even want to look at the pictures. And there is a lot that needs to be done in that direction in terms of welfare, in terms of salaries. And that police trust fund was supposed to empower the police. And many of the states also have this trust fund with which they support security in the states. I served on the pioneer board of the Lagos State Security Trust Fund for 4 years.
Yes, but that's what everybody else copied, because that went very well. Congratulations on that.
Yeah, now, secondly, you know, if you look at Femi, I said Femi Falana.
Yeah, because he's the father.
Falz Falana. You see, of course, everybody knows him as a musician, but he's basically a lawyer. He has a master's in law, right? And he comes from a family of lawyers. His father is a lawyer, his mom is a lawyer. So in this regard, he's doing his job as a lawyer and as a citizen, you know, writing a letter to the president. I hope he gets a response to that and that he would not be ignored because he's speaking as an officer in the temple of justice and, you know, as a citizen. And third point, you know, apples, they say, don't fall too far from the tree. His father is an activist. If Femi Falana SAN retires today, he can just retire comfortably because his son has picked up the baton from where he left it. And if you look at it, you know, great DNA. Femi Falana SAN must have produced Folarin Falana at a special moment of bedroom inspiration.
Oh my heavens!
Even when you look at even when you look at the gestures, you look at the mannerisms, you see that this is a Falana original. And I congratulate Femi Falana SAN on that score.
You have to always go there, Dr. Abati.
I mean,
the truth must be told.
Rufai, please, what is your take on the story?
Dr. Abati, those insights are too penetrating for my liking, you know. Moving on, what I just want to say is this. I think in all of this conversation, the conversation about the Police Service Commission too should be brought to the fore. And it's so easy for the Police Service Commission now come out to say that, oh, we've investigated many cases by the police and the likes. But what is most important is how far have they gone as regards that? And this conversation too should snowball into IGs and top police officers that have served before. Because people that were accountable with disbursement of funds, procurement of these materials for the police officers, what did they do with that money? And the DPOs that send other police officers and give them targets that if you don't bring 20,000 naira from XYZ people by going out today, that we are not going to allow you or we're going to discipline you. Because I've heard police officers tell me that we have targets. Is the money we bring in, we used to run the police station? Is the money you used to bring in, you used to buy stationery and the likes? And also, let's not forget, Dr. Okechukwu said something very strongly about the industry of bribery and corruption. People make millions. And please, those monies that you see SARS officials collect is not for them alone. They have a delivery mechanism. Those are the things we need to scuttle and we need to break down and we need to talk very critically about when we're having this conversation. There's an industry for corruption in Nigeria Police Force, whether you like it or not, and that is what has thrived over the years that we need to take a very strong look at.
I'm sorry, I just need to make a quick point. What you said about the Lagos State Police Trust Fund buttresses the argument for state police, because that worked really well. Other states adopted that model. And here we are still talking about the Federal Police Trust Fund, but that is unconstitutional. Even what Falz just said about the deductions from the Federation account, that's actually not constitutional. Okay. So that's not really an option. They need to go back to the drawing board on that.
Correct. We'll take another story. Well, away from the protest now, with some good news making waves on social media, founders of Nigerian technology company, Paystack, announced on Thursday that they have entered an acquisition agreement with infrastructure technology company Stripe for $200 million. The company Paystack was established 5 years ago and was co-founded by its chief executive officer, Shola Akinlade, and Ezra Olubi, the company's chief technical officer, who recently shared his experience with the Nigerian police. Well, according to Shola, the acquisition will accelerate their geographic expansion and introduce more payment channels, more value-added services, and deeper integrations with global platforms. Let's take a quick listen to how the company started from Shola.
Kennedy, co-founder and CEO of Paystack. I grew up in Lagos, writing software 2002, 2003. That's when I met Ezra. We went to school together at Babcock University. Sometime in 2015, I figured out that I could charge a card from my computer, that it was cool. At some point, I showed OO, and I was like, yo, guy, this is a company. This is Stripe. We became the first Nigerian company to get into YC. Our story was very simple. The only way we could describe Paystack was like Stripe for Africa. So many people were asking me, oh, do you want to meet Stripe for Stripe? Like, do you want to meet the real Stripe? And we did that. We raised a Series A, $8 million from Stripe and Visa. Both companies are really, really aligned. I think we're trying to do the same thing, help people start and scale internet businesses, increase the GDP of the internet. And I think about how over the next few years, there are going to be bigger exits because now it can be done.
Your growth has been, I think the technical term for it is completely nuts.
If one of the most sophisticated companies in Silicon Valley can acquire a company from our ecosystem, like that is just going to unlock a lot of opportunities. This is going to tell people that you can make things and you can, like, it can work. You can build your dreams and you can get it done.
This is such a feel-good story.
It's wonderful.
Children. Everyone is so excited on social media. Congratulations to them. But one takeaway is that, both of them have the profile of, the people that SARS would attack. And that's one thing everyone was talking about. You could kill this young people that have, really made a big impact in the Nigerian economy.
That's
just like that,
point.
from
That's a great
profiling.
Point.
And so, it's so encouraging to see these young people, strive the way that they have. I'm really excited about that.
Wonderful.
Yes. I know you guys took the story earlier. Rufai, what is your take on the story?
Really very excited. But like I did ask earlier on, I want to see big trickle-down effect because when sales like this go on, it's good for the founders. They can put some money in their pocket, but what's the trickle-down effect? And how can we build more viable ecosystems in tech? I can talk about tech comfortably. I was once a co-founder myself, and I have historical antecedents in this, and I know how the system pretty much works. But you want the trickle-down effect. You want more ecosystems to be built. And that's why government should come in. Rather than just you're thinking Nigerian youths can't do anything, build more ecosystem. The government built an ecosystem at some point. I don't know how it's being run now, but I know it's not running viably. In fact, I used to be a mentor on that ecosystem, to mentor other tech companies. But for over a year, for over 2-3 years now, I've not gotten any calls, I've not gotten any new startups. The ecosystem that are still working are the likes of places like, what's it called in Yaba now, I forget the name, the hub in Yagba and the likes. And they are private ecosystem, Passions Hub and the likes and things like that. We want government to build more ecosystems because the young people are energetic. They have innovative capacity. They can do things people, in government can't even think of doing. I still see no reason why we should give our tech solutions to foreign companies when young Nigerians can execute them and do them. So government should start engaging with these people. I want to start seeing government giving big tech contracts to the like of Paystack, to the likes of, other big tech companies set up that are small businesses and that are doing quite well in this country. So that's where I want it to go. Good for the founders, but I want the trickle-down effect in the Nigerian economy. I want to see that money in the Nigerian economy. And I'm still looking forward to a day where a full-blown Nigerian startup will be quoted on the stock exchange so that people can actually see the power of the youth.
Well, I already commented at length on this earlier on when Rochi Sodiri brought the program. I think there's an additional point to be added, and it's about youth entrepreneurship. Oftentimes in this country, we talk about government. The responsibility of government is to provide an enabling environment for businesses to thrive, for innovations to be properly established, and for them to be allowed to grow through policies. However, one of the things we've been talking about over the years is that youth innovation, youth entrepreneurship constitute an entry point into how to move Nigeria forward. And the example of these two young men, Shola Akinlade and Ezra Olubi, listening to Shola Akinlade, who was shown there, he said he just had an idea and he beat it up into something big. Now, even if Nigeria did not recognize it, the world recognized it. And you have Stripe, coming in and saying, look, this is something that is worthy. Before Paystack, there was also Andela. And there are so many tech startups like that in Nigeria, either in agriculture. There are groups that are doing well in agriculture, in finance, in other, even in health, the health sector, you know. So the future calls for a lot of creativity and innovation on the part of young people. It is not always that we look up to government. The government must play its part by providing the enabling environment, because what we see youth energy, creativity on the streets, but we have also seen it in the tech sector. Now, how do you harness all of that to deepen Nigeria's capacity to compete in a world that has become even more competitive?
It's been a long wave of protests by Nigerians against the police brutality. There's been tension and a sense of camaraderie among the youth. So to end What's Trending this week, I'd like to leave you with this video montage of the way it's been.
Now, it's about time that you're accountable to us.
We have to stay vigilant and we have to stay listening. The demands of these young people are not unreasonable. They just want a fair Nigeria, a just Nigeria.
This could go south at any point. Perhaps they were asking for high-ranking members of the National Assembly.
Any single time I see a SARS or a police officer, my heart skips. You don't even understand where we are at. I wish you understood how we feel right now. I wish you understand. We hear that people die every day. The next day we're coming out. Guy, don't read.
Very beautiful.
So beautiful, so inspiring.
Well, thank you guys. That's all I have for you.
Thank you very much, OJ.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you very much.